Hello and welcome to Brewers Daily, part of the Fan Arch Podcast Network. This episode is brought to you by Kalshi. Use promo code FANARCHBASEBALL to get $10 when you trade 10. I'm Dave Gasper. A lot we got to get to here on a Friday show. Brewers starting up a new series against the Philadelphia Phillies. We'll preview that. Coming up over the weekend here, we'll talk about why are the Brewers waiting so long to make this move that we all kind of know needs to be made. Also, we'll take a look ahead at the trade deadline coming up in about 6 or so weeks, and some of the top assets the Brewers might have that could be on the move this summer. But first, we got to get to the news here on Quinn Priester. We've been talking about this for the past however many months as Quinn Priester's been trying to rehab from thoracic outlet syndrome that he's had in his throwing arm and shoulder. And Quinn Priester, we've been talking about how maybe it's time to shut him down. The Brewers announced on Thursday that they have returned Priester from his rehab assignment in the Arizona Complex League, and he remains on the IL. So that means his rehab assignment is done. He's still hurt. He is not being activated. And generally that means there's either some form of re-injury or just something else where it's like, okay, we are stopping the clock on this rehab because you have 30 days on rehab assignments for pitchers. They're stopping the clock and saying, okay, we need to come back. We need to reassess some things. And they're going to figure things out from there. Now, we don't quite have the full details yet because it's an off day. No one else, there's not really additional information that's been provided. In all likelihood, we are going to get more information on Friday during that pregame media availability with Pat Murphy. We should get some more answers then on just what exactly the plan is with Quinn Priester. Last we heard, he was scheduled to pitch on the 13th coming up here, so that would be Saturday. He'd be scheduled to start, but they have pulled him back from that, and he is not going to be starting on Saturday because he just continues to struggle to throw strikes. He has no idea where the ball is going. And I do wonder if this is a sign that the Brewers are making the decision to shut Priester down and are looking at potential surgical options because they've continued to throw him out there and pitch, and they say, keep pitching, hoping that the touch and feel will come back. But it just hasn't. He just continues to look worse. He had 5 walks in his last outing, 3 wild pitches, and just has looked horrendous. He has no idea where the ball is going. The velocity is okay. The velocity is fine, but he has no idea where the baseball is going. And if he doesn't know where the ball is going, you can't put him out there. You can't bring him back, even if he feels physically fine and whatever else. You can't put him on the big league roster and have him start games when he doesn't know where the ball is going. You can't do it. So I think the Brewers are exploring more of their options here with Quinn Priester because they have returned him from that rehab assignment. We'll get more details on Friday here, hopefully, and we'll pass them along. So be sure to follow me on Twitter at dgasper24. I will have that information there for you guys. So be sure to be following me on that. But maybe this is the sign that the Brewers are shutting down Quinn Priester, which, again, it's unfortunate how his season has gone and that this is likely the situation that they have to do. But, I mean, just with the injury, it seems like it's the best decision to make. But we'll see if that ultimately is the decision that they end up going with here. All right. So it kind of teased us a little bit yesterday. Now that we are kind of in trade season, we've seen some trades going so far. They've been minor things so far. But rumors are going to be starting to percolate. We're at that time of the season where you've got enough of an assessment of your club. You know who the contenders are. You know who some of the teams that are going to be falling out are. And the Brewers obviously going to be a contender. They are going to be buyers at this trade deadline. They're going to be trying to improve this team for the immediate future. So who are some of the assets that the Brewers have that they could be moving as the summer goes along here, as we get to that August 3rd trade deadline? And the Brewers obviously are teaming with talent. They have one of the top farms. They have the top farm system in all of baseball. So they have plenty of talent that they can move in order to get whatever pieces that they want. Now, are they willing to part with that talent is the other question, because the Brewers are notorious prospect huggers. They hold on to their guys because they know that's how they're going to be a long-term successful winning ball club, is by having that young talent and getting 6 years out of them when they're affordable, and being good for the entirety of their tenure. And then once they're ready to move on, you have other guys ready to take their place. So the Brewers like to hold on to their prospects, especially their blue chip prospects, which they're not willing to part with unless you're getting some controllable franchise-altering superstar, like a Christian Yelich. Okay, they were willing to part with the prospects because Christian Yelich had 5 years of team control. They were willing to part with Esteury Ruiz for William Contreras. I know, Esteury Ruiz, I mean, that deal was insane that the Brewers were able to get him for just that. But anyways, I digress. They like to hold on to their prospects. They don't like to trade a whole package of them. They don't like to trade a whole bunch unless it's for something controllable. And, even for, rental guys, like they're trading kind of on their lower tier of prospects, guys who are probably going to be blocked, things like that. So I'm looking at some of the top trade assets here and just looking at the Brewers roster construction. There may be a couple of guys from the big league roster I wonder about. And especially with Luis Lara signing that contract extension, I wonder if a healthy Garrett Mitchell could be on the move. Garrett Mitchell has remained healthy to this point in the season. I'm not saying I want this to happen, okay? I've been pro Garrett Mitchell. I've been Garrett Mitchell positive the entire time on this show, just consistently since the Brewers drafted him. I've been Garrett Mitchell positive over here, and now that he's finally having a fully healthy season, we are seeing some of the star potential with him. But I mean, he's 27 years old. He's 4 or 5 years in to his big league career. He still has the high strikeout rate. He has a problem with pitches up in the zone, but he's been hitting the ball well as of late. I wonder if the Brewers are going to be looking at it's like, okay, you have Luis Lara, who appears to be your center fielder of the future. The fact that they just signed him to a 7-year contract extension, he's going to be in this outfield one way or another. And with Mitchell and Frelick and Churio there, it's going to be hard to find playing time for Lara. So I wonder, could a trade of Mitchell end up happening at some point here? With him being fully healthy, his stock is going up compared to where it's been in the past. So that's a name that I'm just going to float. I'm not sure what exactly for. I mean, potentially third baseman, trying to move him there. But if you want to move one of your kind of further along assets to clear room for the younger assets, I think that's very much in play for the Brewers, to not give up a prospect, but to give up someone else in order to get that big league addition elsewhere. Maybe someone who strikes out a little bit less. That's just a possibility I want to throw out there. Not that I think it's particularly, it's not that I want it to happen. It's not that it's necessarily likely to happen, but it's a possibility. Also, a couple of guys who are definitely blocked in this Brewers roster crunch. Tyler Black, I think, is a trade candidate. I've been saying it for months. They probably should have traded him a while ago, but with Jake Bauers playing as well as he is, with Andrew Vaughn playing as well as he is, there is no room for Tyler Black on this roster. There just isn't. So could this be the trade deadline where the Brewers finally move him? Black, there is nothing left for Tyler Black to prove in AAA. He needs a shot at the big leagues. He needs an extended run. He's not going to get it here. Trade him for something. Craig Yoho seems in a very similar spot. Could the Brewers trade him, a reliever who has pretty good prospect pedigree, but the Brewers just, for whatever reason, don't seem as high on him. They don't seem willing to give him as much of a shot. So perhaps they'd be willing to include him in a deal, and he could find regular bullpen opportunities somewhere else. Someone's always looking for bullpen help at the trade deadline. Someone always is. So you could put Yoho in something there. So Mitchell, Tyler Black, Craig Yoho, and then just kind of looking into the prospects, I wonder if Jet Williams could be someone that's a trade asset here, just with the crunch of middle infielders that the Brewers have. Williams maybe could be a utility type, but it appears he's not going to be the future at shortstop because Cooper Pratt has been signed. I don't know if he's going to be the future at third base because there's Jesus Made right behind him. So, Jet Williams, they brought him over in the Freddie Peralta deal, maybe because they just simply needed someone of that caliber to make the deal even out. Not necessarily that Williams was part of the future. That goes back to Esteury Ruiz. They got Ruiz in that deal with the Padres, not necessarily because they wanted him, but because they wanted to flip him for someone else. They wanted to flip him for Juan Soto. They did not. They ended up flipping him for William Contreras instead. But that's a whole nother deal about how that 2022 trade deadline went down. But the Brewers flipped him because they didn't actually want him. And I wonder if Jet Williams is in that same kind of boat. They got him in the trade. They didn't necessarily want him, but they knew it's like, okay, this is someone we can flip later on down the line. So that's a possibility I want to raise. Also, another name that's just kind of stuck out to me as a possibility for a trade deadline prospect move. Jaron DeBerry, third-round pick a couple of years ago. He's someone who has really come on strong and vaulted up the prospect ranks. The Brewers do have a ton of pitching depth in their upper minors, and I wonder if DeBerry may get lost a little bit in that shuffle, and the Brewers are willing to move on from him and include him in a package to get something else to help the big league club right now. Just with his stock going up, it may be as high as it's ever going to be. And that's kind of the tough part with prospects. It's like, okay, is this a sell high moment? Is this, okay, this guy's actually legit, we want to keep him? That's what you got to figure out. DeBerry, it could be a sell high situation there. Same thing with Braylon Payne, who's been having a really good season in high A as a 19-year-old for the Timber Rattlers. Could the Brewers be willing to sell high on him? Former first-rounder, hitting the ball really hard. Still strikes out at a pretty high clip. It's been better this year, but still strikes out pretty high. Long-term project. Maybe that's someone with first-round pedigree you could include in a trade. And then also, we see this a lot with the Brewers trading at the deadline guys who are going to be Rule 5 eligible this following offseason that they don't intend to put on the 40-man roster. And they make those trades and just simply do it now. So that's where I look at potentially a Mike Bove, who's having a solid bounce-back season in Biloxi. A Dylan O'Ray, who missed all of last year due to injury and has come back this year and has been really, really good. But where does he fit long-term in the Brewers' position player picture? I'm not sure if he does. So that could be O'Ray as someone who you sell high on. Because he's playing second base and left field, and it's like, those are positions that are pretty much going to be locked down. Brett Witrowski, who just got moved up to AAA, and he's a starter. I think he probably fits best as a reliever. They may hold on to him. He's got some good velocity, but he's also someone that other teams could take interest in. So those are some of the names that I'm looking at as potential candidates here for the Brewers to use as trade assets as the deadline comes along here in the next 6 weeks or so. So just a couple to keep in mind there as to who the Brewers might be giving up. All right, Brewers have themselves a game today, finally, after the off day on Thursday. And on Kalshi, you can trade every single game, and I'm looking at this one here for the Brewers and the Phillies, as we always are, and it's Jacob Mizrowski bump day. We talked yesterday, it's like, the Brewers have a super high percentage chance on Kalshi here to win this game. But I'm looking at the player props here, and since it's Jacob Mizrowski bump day, and he's been so dominant lately, I'm looking at Jacob Mizrowski 10-plus strikeouts. That is currently trading at 33%. That means a $100 trade pays out $283 with the win should Mizrowski strike out 10-plus Phillies. And given the fact that the Phillies really kind of don't like him, with him taking that all-star appearance last year, he's not pitching against Christopher Sanchez in the series, but Miz is going to be fired up a little bit for this game, so I think we're going to be seeing some great velo from him, and he's going to be looking to get some punchies. So 10-plus strikeouts for Jacob Mizrowski, $100 trade pays out $283. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use promo code FANARCHBASEBALL to get $10 when you trade 10. KALSHI, Kalshi, trade on anything. All right. What are the Brewers waiting for? What are they waiting on to make a change at third base. Luis Rengifo did not really do much at all during this road trip, where the Brewers had the most hitter-friendly environments. They were at Coors, and they were playing in that Little League park that was in Las Vegas. And Luis Rengifo has continued to struggle, and you really just kind of wonder, what are the Brewers waiting for? Cooper Pratt was not in the lineup Thursday night for AAA Nashville. Does not mean he's getting called up. The sounds were like, hey, look, he's still here. He is still in the building. He has not flown to Milwaukee, so don't get your hopes up about that. What are you waiting for? And we've seen this from Ken Rosenthal, and Adam McCalvy has put this out there as well. There's that date, June 16th, which is coming up on Tuesday this week, this upcoming week, which is the first day that players who were free agents that are in the first year of their deals are eligible to be traded. So it's the first day Luis Rengifo can be traded. But why in the world are the Brewers waiting for that? You know, why has this been out there for 2 weeks, 2+ weeks, that the Brewers are waiting for June 16th to make a decision here on Luis Rengifo and waiting for the day that they can trade him? It's not like Rengifo's been playing exceptionally well, that you think that there's a large market for him, that they can just trade him immediately on June 16th. It's kind of confusing and puzzling, unless the Brewers already have someone lined up as a potential trade partner. There's someone who already has interest in Rengifo, and they've been talking back and forth, and they can't consummate this trade until the 16th, but they're just kind of waiting on it, and they have a pretty good idea that it's going to happen. That's the only thing that makes logical sense in my mind. Why all these reporters are putting it out there? Why is Ken Rosenthal putting it out there that that's the date? You feel like you see so many times free agents have bad first couple of months, and you never hear about waiting until that day in order to trade them. That makes me wonder, and this is just pure speculation on my part. This is just pure wild speculation on my part. Maybe more educated speculation than wild. Are the Los Angeles Angels potentially interested in a reunion with Luis Rengifo? Rengifo spent so many years with the Angels, had a lot of good years with the Angels. And then he becomes a free agent, signs with the Brewers, stinks, and maybe the Angels are like, hey, we want him back. Because the Angels are going absolutely nowhere because they're a horribly ran organization, and they would be the kind of team who would say, you know what, we see Luis Rengifo and we want to trade for that guy the way that he's playing right now. They would be that team. You know, if any team in Major League Baseball would be the team to do something like that and try to have this thing prearranged, they would totally be that team. So that's what I'm potentially looking out for when we get to June 16th. We'll talk about that next week, you know, as this kind of comes down, and if the Brewers end up making any sort of change on that day. But that could be what the Brewers are waiting on, waiting for that day, and maybe they have something lined up. Otherwise, why is everyone talking about they're waiting for this day? It doesn't make much sense to me otherwise. So just wanted to throw that out there. All right, let's look ahead to the series this weekend that the Brewers have taken on the Philadelphia Phillies. As we talked about, it is Jacob Misiorowski bump day for the Brewers. 7-2, 150 ERA on the season, 116 strikeouts. He's been dominant. Going up against Andrew Painter, who is almost the exact opposite. He is 1-7 on the year, a 6.21 ERA. This is why the Brewers have such a high chance to win this game tonight. So that's your pitching matchup, pair of righties here on Friday. Then on Saturday, Shane Drowan gets the ball again for the Brewers, a lefty, going up against Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola has been elite in his career, but not this year. 3-4 with a 5.86 ERA is Aaron Nola, the right-hander. And then on Sunday, you got the big-time matchup there. The left-hander, Christopher Sanchez, is on the bump for the Phillies. 1.54 ERA. Beat out Miz for May Pitcher of the Month in the National League, and has been absolutely dominant this season. 113 strikeouts for him, and he's going up against the Brewers' dominant lefty, Kyle Harrison, who's coming off the worst start he's had as a Brewer, but still 7-1 with a 2.72 ERA. And the Brewers have still won 9 consecutive games that Harrison has pitched, so that's something to keep in mind as well. But those are your pitching matchups for this upcoming series. Brewers and the Phillies. The Phillies have turned things around. They're 37-31, and they've got They've got one of the best pitchers in baseball right now, in Christopher Sanchez, that the Brewers will have to face. But Miz and Harrison pitching in this series, and the way Shane Drone has pitched lately, I'm feeling pretty good about the Brewers' chances as well. And we'll be breaking it all down on Monday when we come back. So be sure to subscribe and get notified when new episodes drop if you haven't already. And again, be sure to be following me on Twitter at dgasper24. I'll have all the updates from the weekend over at the ballpark on there. And appreciate all of you watching and listening, and we'll see you again next time for another episode of Brewers Daily.